if you don't have any food stored right now, to go to the store and buy a 1 month supply of food. It's not going to break the bank.
On everything that you see here on the table, not counting the Mylar bag. Take all this food, put it in here. The affairs these days is...
The world's getting weird. For the longest time, I'd look at current events and things that are going on around the world, and I would say, it's just talk. Nothing's going to go on. But now, it feels like something's going to happen real soon.
Hey team, welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm stoked to see you. We're going to be talking about food preps and all of the ins and outs, and I have my good pal and compadre Jason is here. We're going to jib-jab about this. If you want, tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
A little intro? Yeah. So my name's Jason Sallier, and I do survival stuff, from everything from prepping to rubbing sticks together to you name it. It's kind of my thing. I try to inspire people to live their lives to the fullest and not in fear. That's kind of my biggest... If I'm making a video about whatever, that's what the video is really about.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, some good interlinking, in how we approach things, because I try to do the same thing. Mm-hmm. Like, you have the physical tasks or whatever, but you have the purpose.
Why.
And the why, right?
Why you're doing it.
You got to get that right first.
Agreed.
And, even when we're talking about food preps, we need to talk about why. That's the first big question of why do I need to have extra food stored away? How much food should I have stored away? And, state of affairs these days is...
The world's getting weird.
It is weird.
Yeah, weirder by the minute.
And every time you turn on the channel, it's, something overseas, something at the border, natural disasters...
Yeah. Yeah, for the longest time, I'd look at current events and things that are going on around the world, and I would say, it's just talk. Nothing's going to go on. But now, it feels like something's going to happen real soon.
Right.
So, yeah.
And even if, it's nothing in that sphere of the ballpark, like, just look back at the wildfires in Maui.
Yeah.
Like, people's lives get destroyed all the time, whether it's natural events or man-made events, and it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah, I look at food storage as an insurance policy. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
Even if you're not talking about some catastrophic EMP, grid down, whateverness, you break your leg and you make your living by working with your hands, and your body is required to do things.
Right.
Suddenly you're out of work. Now what?
What are you going to do?
What are you going to do? This is it. This is an insurance policy right here.
So how much food, let's say somebody's getting ready to start out in their food preps, or they're working, maybe they have a couple weeks and they want to continue to build up. What would you recommend as an attainable goal?
Yeah, okay, so I think it's very obtainable for anyone right now, if you don't have any food stored right now, to go to the store and buy a 1 month supply of food. It's not going to break the bank. It's not that big of a deal, and we're going to get into that here in a little bit, what you can actually get, what you're going to have to spend for a 1 month supply of food. But it's not going to break the bank. It's not that hard to do. It's easy to store it. It doesn't take up a lot of space. You're not going to need to have some big warehouse or a bunker.
Right.
1 month supply of food can get you through almost all of the natural disasters and stuff, the power outages, localized stuff.
You can flatten the curve.
Yeah, you can get past the initial, like, whoa, something just happened.
Right.
Until you can figure out a better plan. I think everyone can go do that, and you should go do that right now if you don't have it.
Yeah, no, and I agree with you. It's too easy to do literally right now without going into debt.
Nope.
And I'm sure there are some people who are pinching pennies and eating ramen noodles like I did when I first got married. Like it was ramen noodles and Chef Boyardee.
But even then, let's say you don't have the budget to spend $100, $200 on a month supply of food, whatever it costs. You could put $5, $10 into it every time you go to the grocery store. Extra $5.
Yeah, everybody's
got extra $5. Like, don't buy coffee today, and you could go do that. Yeah.
How much is a bag of rice?
Yeah, no, that's right. Yeah.
$5. That's right. How long is it going to last?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So you may start off with your preps, thinking I may have to think only about beans and rice. And as I keep going, I can keep adding into it and getting more and more variety.
Yeah.
Because there are a ton of people out there who are selling food preparations, and they sell stuff pretty hefty. Yeah. You don't have to go in debt, buying cases of MREs or, any of these other big name brands. All good stuff, and it's good to have variety and maybe even
for the short term. For the short term, I don't think variety is that big a deal.
Right.
You just need food to get you through whatever. You're not going to die. You're not going to be super malnourished in a short period of time. I mean, everyone can go a month without eating at all and not die.
Right.
You won't be happy.
Not going to be happy.
You won't be super functional.
Right.
At the end of that month, you're going to be pretty miserable. I know because I've done it. You'll be pretty miserable and really skinny. But you can do it. But it's after that you need to start thinking about vitamins and minerals and all the different macronutrients and varieties of foods.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
So let's dig into what we have here on the table, on everything that you see here on the table, not counting the Mylar bags. The most expensive thing was the honey, right?
Yeah.
Honey is expensive.
Yeah.
But less than $130, and when I do up all the serving sizes that I can get out of here, for my wife and I have. If I was going to be a little hungry, 2 months easy. Easy 2 months here on the table.
Are you doing this by calories? Is that how you calculated it?
I went off of serving size.
Serving size,
right?
Okay.
So you're going to be a little hungry.
Sure.
Because we get used to eating big portions.
Right.
I just ate a huge steak the other day. Yeah. Way too much food. Way too much food.
Yeah.
But if I was going off of calories, I mean, I got an easy month here, beyond the shadow of a doubt.
For two people.
For less than $130, and it will all fit
in a tote.
And the other thing I want to talk to you about, especially when it comes to food preps, because you do have things like fires and flooding and other natural disasters. What would you say as far as recommending of where to store? Like keep it all in one place, or keep it separated a little bit?
Yeah. So it's like the old adage, putting all your eggs in one basket. Probably not that good of an idea.
Yeah.
If that's the only option that you have,
right,
then it is what it is. You're just going to have to roll the dice with that one. But ideally, you'd spread it out a little bit. Even having some at a trusted friend's house or family member's house or something like that, and spread it around a little, I think is a smart choice, because you just never know. And if your house did catch on fire, you might potentially lose everything if you've got it all in that one spot. So,
no doubt. And I'm fortunate here. I can literally take all this food, put it in here after I get it in my Mylar bags and get everything properly stored, and shove it in here, and it's not next to the house.
Yeah.
Right? So if anything happened to the house, I have, an easy month's worth of food
right there
that we can go get to.
Yep, smart. Yeah.
When it comes to food prep, let's talk about rice and beans and anything else that may be a dry food storage. Like, how much concern and what precautions do you recommend taking as far as preparing these items for long-term survival?
Define long.
Storage. 10, 15, 20 years.
Okay,
Are you concerned about what else may be in this bag other than rice?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So what I'll typically do if I want to store, let's say rice, this white rice, if I wanted to make this last 20 years, which it could, I would put it in a Mylar bag with an oxygen absorber. Mm-hmm. And if there's any critters living in there, they're not going to last too long.
That's right, because they need oxygen.
They're not going to last very long. So that's what I would do. And then I'd put it in a 5-gallon bucket with a rubber gasketed sealed lid.
Right.
And then it'll last. I've eaten rice and beans that are 12 years old, stored like that, and they were fine.
What else do you find dry goods like this that have a good long shelf life if stored properly?
Wheat. Wheat will literally last forever.
Yeah.
Literally forever. Honey lasts forever. Any of that kind of stuff's going to last a really, really long time without really doing anything to it at all. Right. Your canned goods last a long time without having to do anything really to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When I went shopping, I took each can and I inspected it. I wanted to make sure, because I was thinking long-term storage. Mm-hmm. If there was already a dent in it, which there were, I put it back on the shelf.
Right. Just in case.
Probably
nothing wrong
with it.
But
you
don't know. Yeah.
But yeah, definitely, when you have a can, in visual inspection on the first end and as well as the back end. If it has any bulges, you want to maybe you want to be careful with stuff like that.
And if in storing this stuff where you store it's super important too. I don't know if we touched on that at all yet, but a dry, cool place out of the sunshine, right? A place where the temperature is not going to be fluctuating drastically up and down because condensation builds up on these cans and it'll cause them to rust. And over the period of 10 years, they'll eventually fail and they'll break their seal.
Now this thing tells me November 1st, 2025.
Best Buy.
Right? So
still going to be fine.
How long do you think in the right conditions, like you said, is this can of food? Should it?
Personal experience, the oldest can that I've ever eaten was 7 years past its Best Buy. And it was fine.
Right.
Like tasted fine. It didn't have any issues. Totally fine. Longer than that, I don't have any personal experience.
Yeah.
But I would guess as long as it's kept in its current condition, it probably lasts a lot longer.
I've heard tales of a couple decades.
Yeah.
I've not done 2 decades, so I can't speak from personal experience. But what I can say is that the longer that the food sits, even at 7 years, like some of the nutritional value may have lost.
Yeah. And I've heard of, I didn't experience this with that really old can that I ate. It was like a can of soup. But I have been told that it gets a little bit of a metallic-y taste the longer they sit in the cans, but it's still food.
Maybe some of the wax inside.
Maybe. But still, I wouldn't be complaining if I was starving.
Some of the other things that we have on the table, I got soap. Like soap's not a huge long-term storage thing, but and some vinegar, and vinegar is a long-term shelf life.
Yeah, apple cider vinegar and stuff, all that stuff's going to last a long time.
And there's so much you can do with vinegar.
Absolutely.
Right? And you need to think about hygiene, cleaning what you have.
Yep. You can literally bathe in apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
Like without soap, any of that stuff.
Right.
And it kills all the bacteria and stuff that's growing on you. It gets rid of fungus. Like if you've got athlete's foot, it can take care of that. It's pretty awesome stuff. Yep.
It is indeed wild. Same with having stuff like honey. There's just so many purposes for honey, especially if it's local to your area.
Yep. I had a buddy that had this. He had diabetes. He had a wound on his shin. He had banged his shin on something, and it was a wound, an open wound for like a year. It would never heal. He did all the stuff. And all the doctors said do all these things. Nothing worked. He put raw honey on it, and it healed up that wound.
That's amazing.
Pretty crazy. Yeah.
So, team, I hope you appreciate the conversation that we've had here with Jason. Definitely appreciate you coming in and sharing some of your experience as we talk about food preps and storage and some of the things that we can all get after. And there's never an ending point to some of the things that we do. You may get to a year of having all kinds of stuff, but there's always a way to improve your foxhole.
Right.
Or just to maintain and sustain what you have, rotating some things in and out.
That's one of the big things. The two problems with food storage, long-term food storage, is the space to store it. And you got to get creative sometimes. Yeah. I've seen people removing their box springs and using buckets, 5-gallon buckets as their box springs and putting their mattress on top of that. If you're limited on space, that works good. But getting creative, finding ways to store the stuff is really, really tough. And then rotating the stuff. Mm-hmm. If you feel like you need to rotate it, I'm not the best at it. I'm a terrible example of rotating my foodstuffs. But once, twice a year, I usually go in there and try to work it through. It's kind of a drag.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. One
of the easiest ways to rotate your food is to make sure that what you are storing is food that you eat.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. I always say, just like we layer our gear, right? We've got gear on our person. We've got gear in our vehicle. We've got gear in our house, right? I think food should be layered the same way. You got stuff that's in your refrigerator. Mm-hmm. You've got stuff in a pantry that you're dipping into every single day.
Right.
And then you've got your longer-term food storage that you're not dipping into on a regular basis. Right. That's how I do it.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, man.
Well, team, let me know what you think down in the comments below, and we will keep this conversation rolling. Definitely make sure you check out Jason's YouTube channels. They will be linked down in the description below, as well as I'm sure we already had some cards running across the top because he has some outstanding content. And that's what we're all about, mastering our craft and developing our tactical virtue. Appreciate you guys. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked. Team, if you want to master your craft and develop your tactical virtue, make sure you subscribe to the channel and click that notification bell so that you can stay up to date on future content. Consider becoming a channel member. It's going to give you exclusive access to content not available to anybody else. I appreciate you guys. Until then, you stay out there, you keep grinding, and you stay stoked.